Hey guys, what's up? Jared here, Dex and Dice, Ramblings of an LGS owner, trying to get the microphone to balance a bit. There we go. Okay, so today's video is going to be something that is probably going to poke some people, but just bear with me here, because it's going to be about one of the most expensive words that you can say in your business that, especially early on, and sometimes even into later on, can really actually hurt you. And that word is yes. Okay? Every time, excuse me, every time that you say yes, you're agreeing to something, right? You're agreeing to the customer, you're agreeing to the responsibility of whatever the customer wanted or your distro wanted or anything like that. Sometimes, without you even knowing it, you're agreeing to a future problem, right? And everyone's had this experience. You don't think it's going to be a big deal, so you say yes, and then all of a sudden it's a cluster, right? Everybody's experienced that. So, like, especially with new business owners or people new into buying and selling stuff like that, like this, or just in this world in general, new people think that yes solves everything, right? You say yes, you get happy customers, good reviews, more business, community support, all that good stuff, but an underlying factor to a lot of businesses just dying or whatever is they keep saying yes from no real standpoint to be able to fulfill what they say is yes, to do actual X when they say yes. They're hoping they can, but they can't. And a lot of businesses end up dying from like a million little what seem to be reasonable requests and should be reasonable requests, but you don't really know what can and can't happen, right? Especially early on. So, a good example is like store credit, all right? You say yes, the customer is happy. Either they buy something that day with store credit, or like I've said in another video, it just becomes like a debt that you owe, right? That you owe them. It's on your books. Sure, you can consider it like an interest-free loan or something, which is a good way to look at it, but it's still a debt nonetheless. And at the end of the day, the customer leaves with a smile, which is fine. That's great, and I'm not even saying that's not what's supposed to happen, but like they leave with, okay, cool, I have $200 here at this particular place. Like they leave with a smile. The liability and the debt and everything else stays with you, right? That's just the way it is. So that's just one example of like how saying yes can maybe snowball into something else if you're not careful, right? Especially if you don't have like limits on your store credit or whatever, all that good stuff. So just saying yes to every trade-in that walks in, probably not the greatest thing to do. Keep that in mind. Pre-orders. This is a touchy subject with me because I don't agree with pre-orders in this industry currently, in the market that we are in. Okay, I just don't. I don't do them in the store because allocations are terrible. But even pre-orders kind of fall into that store credit thing. It's something that you're like, yeah, I can get that for you, no problem. Customer's happy. They walk out thinking that they're going to get their stuff, but then allocations hit and you get severely cut. The distributors themselves don't get what they think they were going to get, so you get cut. There's a product delay risk where printers might mess up or something, and then you have the person who was like, I expected it on this day. Sometimes people just get really angry about that for no real reason at all. And then there's the price movement risk as well, where people will, if the product tanks, they're going to cancel the pre-order and you're out that money, which if you're just starting out, there's a good chance that you've already allocated that money to something else, which is a terrible fucking idea, by the way. So, like, if you do pre-orders or something, you should do it like I was going to do it or started doing before the market got crappy. You do it completely separate. Like, I had my PayPal account for the shop strictly just for pre-orders, and everyone who wanted to pre-order something, you either used your PayPal account or whatever, and the money went into the PayPal account. And when it was time to actually purchase the invoice with the stuff, it came out of the PayPal account, and that it was separate from my own shop account, right? Once the market gets better and stuff is and allocations are more solid, I might go back to doing that. But you know, pre-orders are just sketchy at best right now for smaller shops and everything, even bigger shops, to be completely honest with you. But like, the customer, they get their promise of, hey, I'll have this and all that good stuff. And like, it's your responsibility to keep it. So if anything goes wrong with it, regardless of what actually happened, the customer is going to see you as the problem, right? The customer essentially forgets the promise, but the business has to keep it because the customer just assumes that the business is going to be the one to fulfill the promise. Okay, that's kind of a big responsibility if you think about it. But anywho, so moving on, saying yes to holding some product, can you hold this until Friday? Can you hold this until I get paid again? Can you hold this until XYZ? Like, it's cool, I get it. I do it here. We have a 24-hour hold period, so like, I understand that you can't just say no all the time, but there has to be some kind of a limit to it, just unless you know the person like they're a regular, they're actually going to get paid on Friday. Don't hold it until Friday. Be like, I'm holding it for 24 hours. If you don't get it, boom, done. I have to put it back out on the floor. Because if you start holding too much for people, the inventory is unavailable, it's sales lost, the opportunity is lost, all that good stuff. Like, because if it's just sitting there, the item isn't sold, it's just unavailable. It's just there, mocking you. So try to have like some kind of a 24-hour hold policy or something like that. Special orders kind of ties into the pre-order thing. I don't want to like harp on this one too much, but there's always the chance of a special order, going wrong as well. Like, special orders are great until either they don't get fulfilled like they should have got from distro. There's always the chance that the customer just completely forgets and doesn't come back, and they dodge your calls and all that good stuff. So like, special orders are special right up until they probably become extra inventory that you just didn't plan on, right? So there's always that little pitfall. Price matching stuff, I think I've said this before in other videos. I can haggle. I like to haggle a little bit, but this is not Amazon, right? You trying to bark me down an extra $15 on a box is my margin essentially for that box. So like, don't say yes to that just to make this person happy, because that's what they're going to expect going forwards is that they can just bark you down because you did it this one time. And that's a horrible example whatever to set. Okay, so don't always say yes to price matching. That's something you should just not do. Saying yes to collections that you don't actually want. Like, if there's only 4 cards in that collection that you want, but they want you to take all 6,000 of it or whatever, learn to say no on that, okay? Because if you say yes, you're going to be stuck with sorting, listing, storing it, the general labor that is just associated with it all for weeks, months, doesn't matter. Those 4 cards or whatever would sell, but everything else, dear Lord, it might not sell it might take you 8, 9 months to cycle through that collection. So learn to say no on essential like bulk collections with a few hits. Now, like I get it, if you're just looking to build inventory real quick and all that good stuff, by all means, do it. But maybe toss in there like, hey man, typically I wouldn't because there's only 3 or 4 hits in here, but like I need some inventory, so yeah, next time I probably won't take it, or I probably will take it at a lesser value or something. But you still need to be comfortable enough to be like, nah man, unless you want to part with these 4 cards and let me buy the rest at like a bulk rate or something, I'm good. Sorry, it's just not, there's not enough meat on that bone for me, because like sometimes the most expensive collection, and this is going to sound really weird, but sometimes the most expensive collection can be the free one, just because it takes so long to sort and list and just deal with in general. Like, I know that sounds really weird, like super, super weird and wrong, but like, think about it. Just think about it for a second. It sounds great, but is it worth all the extra work on top of what you might already have? Can you get to that free collection in a timely manner? I guess it doesn't really matter in a timely manner, but it's still going to cost you your time, effort, just general labor, all that good stuff. So, like I said, it sounds weird, but just think about it, right? The next point would be the general overall like positivity trap that everyone seems to think that an LGS or even a backpack vendor or something should have all the time, right? The positivity trap is something that it's really horrible, to be honest with you, because if you're not talking about sunshine, rainbows, being overly positive and loving this and supportive of that and all that good stuff, like, people think that you're just being super negative when you're just being realistic. Just because I'm not spouting out sugar and spice out of my mouth doesn't mean that everything else is overly negative. It's just normal advice, right? Some people just can't seem to handle normal advice without thinking it's negative, and you do you, boo boo. But like, people will confuse positivity and like customer service, kindness, being the doormat, or oh yeah, everything is always great and all that with like sustainability, and they're not always the same thing. By all means, don't be a dick to your customers, but also like, you're not a doormat. You don't need to be a doormat, because then you open up a whole other can of worms of crap that you don't want to deal with. Like, just because something sounds nice and overly positive and optimistic and all that good stuff doesn't mean that it's actually sustainable for your business. It'll work until it doesn't. Trust me on that one, okay? I get it. I sound like I'm a cynical dude because I've been doing this for a while, but if you were to talk to my regulars who come in here, I'm actually a pretty nice guy. I BS with them, make them laugh, poke fun at them, all that good stuff, and we have a good time. But they also know that I'm not going to BS them. I'm not going to blow smoke up their asses just because I can make an extra $5 or some shit like that. If they want an honest opinion, they ask me and I just tell them. So, let's keep that in mind. Going with the positivity thing, you have to understand that boundaries aren't negative. Just because, like, it seems like it's negative, if someone says no, or is like, hey man, this is not cool. Like, having a boundary is not negative, okay? A a person who is learning the business and all that good stuff, learns when to say, like, no, not right now, not at that price, not at that price for that product, not for that customer, because that customer might be the one who always comes in and tries to buy everything at a discount, or well, I saw this on this, or the other shop down the street did it this time. Can you, if they did it that time, then go to the other shop down the street, man. Okay? Like, the only reason you're coming here is probably because you went to try that again with them and they told you to kick rocks, so you're trying it here, right? Not every no that you give out, every respectable, legitimate no that you hand out, not just trying to be an asshole or something, but every legitimate no that you say protects a future yes. All right? If you look at it from that point of view, you'll understand that your overly positive, overly yes, 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 yes crap works until it doesn't, because you've already said so many yeses, there's not enough room for the other yes that needs to happen, you know? So keep that in mind too, because like there's a huge, huge difference in being liked versus being sustainable, right? You can be liked all day long and have all these wonderful, like, overly positive things about you and so forth, but like, everyone wants to be liked, everyone wants happy customers and all that good stuff, but you hit a point to where you have to decide, are you running a business or are you running like a charity? For lack of a better term, I guess, you know? Like I said, saying yes works until it doesn't. Saying yes so many times will block that other yes that comes along that is a unicorn scenario, but you've already said yes so many times, you have X resources or whatever tied into those other yeses, you can't say yes to this one. Having boundaries is healthy for a business. Learn to say no, okay? In the most respectful way that you can. Learn to say no. So many yeses will dig you a hole if you're not careful, all right? Because one of the lessons I've learned running this business, being a manager at GameStop, doing my own thing for a while, all that good stuff, is that every yes that you give out creates an obligation. And if you're not careful, those obligations will stack up way faster than your profits can just, you know, they'll stack up way faster than your profits, right? So sometimes the most responsible thing that you can say is no. Again, in the most respectful way possible, is no. And that's not being negative, okay? That's being realistic with yourself, realistic with your business model. And once you understand this, once you evolve past the yas queen mindset of I gotta say yes, I gotta say yes, I gotta say yes, everything's positive and lovely and all that good stuff, you start to see everything in a more realistic view, right? That's saying that you actually survived long enough to do that. But I believe you need to be able to say no, okay? And I guess I'm going to leave at that one. I got 23 minutes left before I'm supposed to open the shop, and UPS is usually here about 11:45 noon, and I got crap coming in. But just think about what I said, man, okay? Like, I get it. I come off as a cynical asshole, but realistically, I'm just telling you a more realistic outlook on things versus sunshines and rainbows, okay? Just think about that for a second. Anyways, I gotta go. Yeah, like, sub, comment, all that good stuff. Life is not a dick. You don't have to take it so hard. You're a trash can, not a trash can't. And the best thing you can fucking do is just be like Nike and do it, man. Okay? You guys have a good one.